What would it look like if Naruto had an evil Pokemon team, specifically Team Akatsuki? How strong would Pain be as a Pokemon trainer, and who are these mythical legendary Pokemon? Let's find out together, because Pain and his Rinnegan have locked eyes with Naruto, and the universe bends to his will. And since their eyes have locked, you know what it means. It is time for a Pokemon battle. Surely, like the rest of the Akatsuki, Pain will lead with his special Pokemon Shinimbus, the red cloud Pokemon, but wait, what's this? He doesn't lead with Shinimbus? Oh god, he must be pretty serious because the Pokemon he's leading with is Incineroar. You see, according to 10-time regional winner and 2016 Pokemon VGC champion Wolfie Glick, that thing is the best Pokemon in the game, period. With its hidden ability Intimidate, it lowers Pokemon's attack and then crushes them with a strong knockoff or Earthquake. But I think there are some pretty good lore reasons to have it on his team as well. You see, Pain controls the 6 paths of, well, pain, one of which is the animal path. That terrifying power is represented by this very Incineroar here. Luckily, Naruto did manage to make quick work of it, but the next big threat is Metagross. This Psychic and Steel Pokemon is not only one of my all-time favorite Pokemon, but also embodies the Ashura path, the path of pain that allows him to transform his body into a mechanical cyborg. And in the story, that allows him to gain access to guns, blades, and laser beam head cannon, I guess? You know, kind of like Metagross, who definitely has laser beam head cannon in the form of its flash cannon. But it's the same thing, come on. Then after the Ashura path comes the Naraka path, which controls life and death. And of course, there is no better fit for a fighter Pokemon that controls life and death than Annihilate, a fighting and ghost Pokemon that literally dies from fighting way too hard. Respect for that one. And when that's not enough, Pain uses the almighty push to launch one more Pokeball onto the field, and this one contains the Diva path itself, Shinobi and Urshifu, the psychic and fighting Pokemon based on Pain's Diva path design. And in case you're in doubt, seriously, just listen to the traditional Urshifu's Pokédex entries. People call it the embodiment of rage. It's said that this Pokemon's terrifying expression and shout will rid the world of malevolence. All it takes is a glare from this Pokemon to take the lives of those with evil in their hearts, or so they say. Now, if you're asking me, that sounds a lot like Nagato. His dream was to rid the world of violence, the violence that plagued his own life and village, by any means necessary, and so he took the title of Pain because he felt like inflicting such heavy damage upon the world would force them to understand the value of peace. Which, in hindsight, maybe not the best plan, but hey. And so in my Shinobi region, he uses his Divine Justice, his Urshifu, to make the world know pain. But as you know, Naruto and all his Pokemon know the Talk no Jutsu and show Nagato that violence only breeds more violence. However, to break through, he has to defeat Pain's final Pokemon, Shinimbus, you know, the original Akatsuki-themed Pokemon that I designed in our last Akatsuki X Pokemon video.
Oh no, however will he defeat it?
I mean, I guess it makes sense that Nagato's real body is super frail, so of course Pain's last Pokemon would also just be a weakling. And with that, the village is safe for now, but in the distance, a massive explosion just happened. Kakashi runs up and tells Naruto to come with him because apparently there is trouble at the Valley of the End. So they hop on the back of Shinobi and Staraptor and fly off. And whoa, what? Appearing in front of Naruto and Kakashi from a different dimension comes Sasuke and Obito Uchiha. Who knew? Turns out that he must be the secret ruler of the Akatsuki evil Pokemon team. Regardless, he does of course have the Rinnegan, a special eye that lets him manipulate reality, and he's using it on the massive waterfall. Wait, don't tell me that's where the legendary Pokemon are. Alright, quick, while Kakashi's trying to hold off Obito, you've got a job to do, Naruto. You've got to catch one before Sasuke does, because if he gets both, who knows what he'll do, right? But which one will you choose? You see, according to legend in the Shinobi region, the first one is hailed as the god of peace and tranquility. He's the legendary Thousand Hands and based on none other than Hashirama Senju himself. It's the almighty Sidarmani. Now, this grass and fighting type legendary Pokemon I came up with uses a root network that spans across the entire Shinobi region to protect people in times of dire need. And it's said to be able to single-handedly end wars due to its impressive power and 1,000 hands of divine harmony. Speaking of which, you could probably tell that one of the root words in its name is harmony, based on its role as the god of peace. But in case you're curious, for the first part of its name, we drew inspiration from the name Siddhartha Gautama, which is, by the way, the person who was literally the Buddha. And of course, Hashirama's wood style draws so much from the Buddha itself, and so it only felt fair to make the legendary Pokemon based on him to draw those same parallels. Plus, it does keep the word arm in its name, a pun on the 1,000 hands that it uses to defeat its foes. But there's more. Pay attention, Pom-Pom, because what we're currently seeing here is actually just its defensive form, where it uses many hands and a zen-like state to bolster its own defenses. And when it's in this mode, it gains access to the ability Wooden Titan, a unique ability that randomly boosts its defense or special defense stat the first time it enters the battlefield and sets the grassy terrain. This helps it heal a little bit of extra health each turn and stay on the field to support his other allies. But if we need to turn up the tempo a little bit, you can now switch its form outside of battle and turn it into its attacking form. And in this mode, it takes inspiration from Hashirama's wood release, Wood Human technique. That means it becomes a massive giant, and the scroll on its back unravels to reveal the wooden dragon around its waist. Now this form actually has an even bigger reference to Japanese mythology, as the form here is a reference to the Ryutoki, an oni that has a dragon around its own torso as well. Now the reason that this is important is actually because there was a real Buddhist monk known as Koben who sculpted an incredibly famous wooden statue of the Ryutoki, which is hailed as one of the national treasures of Japan. And in his offensive form, its ability randomly lowers the target's defense or special defense stat the first time it enters the battle and gives it a speed boost on top of it. Which of course then really helps it unleash the true power of the wood style. I mean grass type moves. Nailed it. So Naruto, I think this one makes the most sense for you, so you should absolutely catch it. And while you do that, I'm gonna go over the legendary that Sasuke is about to catch too. Because this fierce titan on the other end was set to burn entire battlefields in the past, cursing entire bloodlines. And its love for the Shinobi region manifests in true unyielding power that destroys anything in its path, so long as it keeps its home safe. You know, the fire and dark type storm warrior Susageta.
Let me take this one, Manu. He is based on someone way too cool for you to talk about.
Ouch. Alright, that one was a little bit hurtful, but go ahead.
Susageddon is based on the ghost of the Uchiha, the devil of Shinobi, Madara Uchiha, and his perfect Susanoo. That's why its title is the Storm Warrior, as Susanoo in Japanese mythology is the god of storms. And if it wasn't clear, the back half of its name embodies its role as the god of war and is based on the word Armageddon, which is the last battle between good and evil before the Day of Judgment in the Old Testament. Kinda morbid, but also kinda hot if you ask me.
Oh, and you also left out that it also draws heavy design inspirations from a tengu, a type of supernatural being in Japanese folklore that is often depicted as a bird-like creature too. This is actually the same type of creature that Naruto Susanoo are really based on, and that's why it has many bird-like features as a titanic beast in our Pokemon region. And since the legendaries obviously come in pairs, this is its defense form, and in it, Susageddon manifests the true power of the Susanoo armor, becoming a literal iron wall. And thanks to its ability Storm Warden, it randomly lowers the attack or special attack stat of its foe and creates a sea of fire on the target side of the field for 4 turns. And this is a deal damage to the enemy over time effect and is actually based on an obscure Gen 5 mechanic called Pledges, in case you remember those. And this kind of lets it hang around with amazing defense stats while its enemies slowly burn away to death. But if that's not enough, it can shift into maximum overdrive and unleash its attack form. And in this state, I think the Susanoo inspiration becomes really clear as its body shifts and molds into a mighty samurai tengu with twin katana. And its ability shifts to become Storm Slaughter and randomly raises its attack or special attack while lowering the enemy's speed stat. This makes it a perfect counter to Sid Harmony and helps it also outspeed its enemies, cutting them down in a swift, dark, or fire type strike. You can probably see why Sasuke very clearly would want this one, so while these kids struggle to battle their legendaries, let's move over and see how Kakashi and Obito's battle is actually going, because it seems like they're still at a standstill as Kakashi's Staraptor is facing off against Obito's Ceruledge. And this Pokemon, I think, just truly embodies the spirit of Obito. As a fire type, it pays homage to Obito's Uchiha clan blood, as they are a fire type specialist clan. Is that a thing? Alright. Meanwhile, its ghost type is also a tie-in to Obito's fake-out death. May I remind you, everyone thought he was dead, but in fact he became another ghost of the Uchiha, which is, you know, a bit of a theme in Naruto, but hey. Which also ties nicely into his other Fire and Ghost Pokemon, Hisuian Typhlosion, because it's a fellow edgy sad boy that is said to lose control of its emotion when angered, unleashing ghost flames that can incinerate its opponents until nothing remains, which again sounds a lot like what Obito tried to do with the leaf when he found out that his childhood crush got murdered by his best friend. And of course he's a fellow Uchiha like Itachi, so he also gets access to a special Shinobi and Lunatone. This one of course mimics his own Mangekyo Sharingan's pattern. Well, it just seems fitting that he has one, considering that his plan in the original series is to help unleash the Eye of the Moon plan that was like his entire thing. And if all of those Pokemon are still not enough somehow, he busts out his Shinimbus, like a good Akatsuki member, and it's gone. Yeah, that one kind of tracks. I should have designed it maybe a little bit stronger, but hey. This only leaves his single most powerful ally, the most fearsome creation of the Rinnegan, Shinobian Golurk. And this colossal beast is a ground and dark type titan based on the Gedo statue. Now we do see Obito summon this thing a bunch of times throughout the series, and so it kind of seemed very fitting to make his special unique partner a version of the Pokemon that is quite literally a vessel of destruction, right? And if you don't believe me, its original Pokédex quite literally reads, "When the seal on its chest is removed, it rages indiscriminately, turning the whole town around it into a mountain of rubble," which to me just screams Gedo statue, at least to me personally. And you know what else screams? The sound of 1,000 chirping birds of Kakashi's lightning blade swiftly piercing Obito, so rest in peace, you sad, sad man. But this now leaves us with the ultimate matchup, the battle that will determine the fate of the entire Shinobi region, Naruto Uzumaki versus Sasuke Uchiha. Their final battle at the Valley of the End, just like in the original series. And Naruto, of course being a Chad, leads with his newly caught Sidarmani, while Sasuke lets loose his Susageddon. These legends battle in an epic match as wood arms, flaming blades, and war and peace clash at once. The heavens split as they take each other out, leaving Sasuke to send out his next Pokemon, his brother's Shinobi and Lunatone. I guess you're curious, he did steal it after he murdered Itachi, a tribute to Sasuke's goal in the series, but also the fact that he literally took Itachi's Sharingan to craft his own Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan in the series too. However, this powerful moon is equally matched up against Naruto's Ninetales, causing another double KO. And this battle rages forward as Sasuke sends out the edgiest dog alive, Absol. And some of you in the comments already guessed that someone in this region would have to have this thing, and I can think of nothing else that screams Sasuke AMV more than an Absol, not to mention its Pokédex entries refer to it as a warning sign of disaster. But seeing as superstitions were spread about it, it accidentally also became known as a bringer of disaster, very much like Sasuke. And making it even more similar to Sasuke, this feeling fed a hatred of it, and it was driven deep into the mountains, much like Sasuke, who fled the Hidden Leaf and trained with Orochimaru, becoming a missing nin due to his rage and bloodlust not matching the ideals of the leaf. And this match is really close, and as we all know, Sasuke needs to use his bread and butter move, the Chidori, so while he and Naruto clash with a Rasengan Chidori thing, what they do always, Naruto's Shift Tree and Sasuke's Shinobi and Staraptor clash as well. In case you didn't watch our previous video explaining this Pokemon, I used it as a reference to the Chidori itself, which is why Kakashi has one too. And this form is an electric and flying Pokemon variant that mimics the true name of the Chidori, the Thousand Birds, and so I'd argue that Sasuke is actually the true master of the Chidori, converting it into several different variations like the Chidori Shinzo or Nagashi, meaning that this Staraptor reaches its full potential with Sasuke. And speaking of Pokemon themed after Sasuke's lightning style, there is one more move that we have to talk about here. So be gone with the thunderclap, because this Pokemon is Kirin. Come on, it would be criminal of me to not have the Pokemon equivalent of Kirin in the form of Raging Bolt. Now for those of you who don't know, Kirin is technically not just a giant lightning dragon from the sky, but its name comes from the Japanese word for giraffe, but it's also a mythical creature in several East Asian folklores, but for the purpose of our video here, it's a massive lightning giraffe, and thus Raging Bolt is perfect for Sasuke, I think. It's an electric and dragon-type Pokemon with access to moves like Thunderclap, and part of me thinks that the Pokemon Company designed this thing specifically based on Sasuke's version of the Kirin. I don't know, let me know in the comments if I'm too anime-pilled, but seriously, like, the design inspirations are pretty clear. And at the very least, someone at Game Freak said, yeah, I know how to cook with the Raikou paradox thing, like, leave it to me. So, Sasuke unleashes his Kirin, but it was still not enough. It took down Naruto's Toxicroak, but that leaves them each with one final Pokemon, and this is their true final battle. Naruto throws out his starter Pokemon, Assaultoad, the very first Pokemon that he got on his journey, and standing across from him, Sasuke throws out a Fierce Snake, his evolved starter Pokemon, the original water starter of the Shinobi region, Obirochi. So cool to see them again finally, and these two are perfectly matched up, because Obirochi is a water and dark type, meanwhile Assaultoad is a fire and fighting type. And so while Obirochi's water type is of course effective against Assaultoad's fire type, his fighting type is super effective against Obirochi's dark type. They are perfect rivals, you get the idea, just like their trainers. Orochimaru and Jiraiya, Sasuke and Naruto, and now Obirochi and Assaultoad. They square up, throw one set of final moves, and in a flash, it is over. Naruto reigns supreme and his Assaultoad stands proud by his side. Naruto, good job, you've saved the Shinobi region, saved your boyfriend, and proved here what it takes to become Hokage, but what is still left for you is to take on the Elite Four and conquer the Shinobi region once and for all. But let's be real, you really have to prep your team up more and train them more to even be prepared to take on that challenge. And in the meantime, while Naruto's getting ready for the Elite Four, you can either check out this video, the first part of the Akatsuki, or you can check out the starter video here if you want to know everything that you need to know about them going into the big final battles. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, Pompon. Already asleep again. Classic. I guess I'm... Okay, bye-bye.